morning. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Pitch Strike Chronicles. I'm Uncle Tats. I'm here with Donald. And Donald, there was Robert put something in our chat yesterday that actually had me really alarmed. And I do want to give credit. Let me pull that up real quick because they are talking about Devin Williams returning to the Yankees. That is not the bullpen help we need.
It's actually me that put it in the chat, but cool. Let's go with that. Yes. For Ken Rosenthal, Devin Williams and the Yankees have been in contact about a possible reunion. Per the article, the Yankees in the camp for free agent late inning reliever Devin Williams recently discussed the potential for a possible reunion. Williams is garnering widespread interest, but the Yankees have at least maintained contact. Devin Williams says, I got the full experience. I started off bad. They're booing me as I came out of the bullpen. So obviously I got to the worst of it at the beginning. Then in the end, I think against Toronto, they gave me a standing ovation. It's a unique place to play. They have a lot of history. Fan base that wants to win. So they have been in contact. Some are saying in detail that it could be a 3-year deal worth $15 million a year. That would be 3-year, $45 million, which would be, well, it would be an interesting development. I'll say that. Let's just go with that. It'll be interesting. My immediate reaction was the Michael Scott meme. No!
Yeah. We both had that one. It's that was definitely my reaction too. You beat me to it on the memes in the chat, but not when you sit back, you get a little sleep over it. If the money's right, I just don't think the player itself, it would not hurt the Yankees to bring Williams back. But for the contract, I think I saw it was 3 years for 45. It was the numbers that were leaked. That doesn't do it for me. Sorry. But the player itself, yes, I like that he was able to admit that it was not his best year, in publicity favor. But, he came to the realization that
you did 480 already as a reliever.
But the numbers don't add up. It doesn't really move the needle for me. Yes, he had that stretch where it seemed like he was figuring everything out. I think he looked better as the setup guy rather than the closer. I thought he was more comfortable in that role.
Right.
So, in that regard, let him go into the market as a closer.
Exactly.
He's going to get. He wants closer money. Let him be a closer somewhere other than the Bronx. We have Bednar.
You don't pay an 8th inning guy $15 million a year.
Exactly.
That's a horrible. Once again, following on from the last show, horrible use of resources. It's a horrendous use of resources.
It's a repetitive issue, and it's a pain in the ass.
Stevie B says Williams on a 1-year deal. All right. Multi, no. Healing Man Hearts agrees with Stevie B. I'd do a 1-year contract for Williams. He needs to prove himself for guaranteed years. He's not going to accept a 1-year deal, so there shouldn't really be a conversation to be had. Cashman needs to be committed. To Doran's point, if he takes an offer, what was $15 million a year, he would take it. He definitely would. But here's the other problem: you're working with an unlimited budget because they want to,
even though Cashman made the statement that there's no hard cap that was given from Hal. I know Don's a little frozen right now, but it's you have to get to that point where if you really want to improve your team and get back to a World Series like you were 2 years ago and finish the job, you have to spend your money a little more, with a little more smarts. If you're really going to, that was going to reset. If you really want to properly allocate your funds, if you want to go, rather than Williams, might as well just go after freaking Pete Alonso and get a little power behind Aaron Judge in the lineup. You know, is he? Yeah, Alonso may not be the best first baseman on the market, but at least you already know he can handle the New York the media. He's a guy. He does have a tendency to stay healthy. He doesn't miss a lot of time, and you're going to get the power numbers at Yankee Stadium. Because as much as we all, we love Stanton on the team, he's going to have his injuries. I also don't think. No, Alonso's still a free agent as of when I looked this morning. It's you get into these situations and you have to be able to build a team around Judge because you're not going to have Judge in his prime that much longer, right? Although we keep seeing that every year he's just able to keep the status quo and his amazing seasons just seem normal. It's now or never. You can't keep going through this round circle trying to fit it into a square hole like Cashman does with his budget every year. You have to, if you're not going to put the money where it's needed. We have enough pieces in-house and already on the roster that, really deepening your bullpen is not going to make a difference when you don't have a lineup that can put up runs. I was saying, Donald, I'd rather give that kind of money to Alonso at first base.
Oh yeah, 1,000,000%.
And although I think that defensively it's a slight uptick from Ben Rice.
Oh yeah,
but as much as and I love Ben Rice, he's great for our team. But if you have the chance to allocate money towards a proven first baseman, why would you not do that? Why would you run that risk again of saying we hope we'll figure it out?
I know that the Yankees don't agree, but I like Ben Rice at catcher more than first base. I don't think he's a good first baseman. I want an established first baseman, and I think Pete Alonso would be a really good pickup. I know that he's probably going to turn into a DH as the years progress, which might not work in correspondence with Aaron Judge, who will probably be a DH as well. That might be their thinking. However, let's face it, Ben Rice is essentially DH right now. I mean, he doesn't really have a position. So I prefer him at catcher. I prefer him to establish him at catcher, and then that means that Austin Wells is more of a platoon guy. I know he's a good defense. He's really good defender, but offensively, he's not stepped up. So we've given him a shot. He hasn't stepped up. Let's give Ben Rice a go there. Exactly. Duran's right here. This is what I think here. Rice as catcher because he's one of the best defensive catchers in the game. That's a huge upgrade for us. That's where I'm at. And then first base, I would really attack first base with an established first baseman. They need to upgrade this infield. They really desperately need to upgrade this infield. So if you're going to roll it back with Volpe at short, McMahon at third, that's two below average offensive players, right? Then you will need to seriously make first base and catcher elite in order to make up for the shortfall at short and third. You've got to think about these things, but I don't know if Brian Cashman's front office really thinks about these things, because it just doesn't make sense. You can't roll that back. I really think that although the numbers were amazing in the regular season for that offense, I think it was a little bit of I think it was a little bit of a fluke. Because the pieces just don't really fit. You got a career year from Trent Grisham. You got one of the best years that Cody Bellinger's had in the last 6 years. You got a huge shock out of Ben Rice. Jazz Chisholm was consistent for the first time. I think that it kind of saved the day there. I'm not quite sure if that would really correspond into next year, rolling it back. But the Yankees seem to want to roll it back, and I don't understand. Why do they want to roll this back?
Because they're the smartest people in the rooms without a thought process.
You don't roll something back if it hasn't.
If it's not working.
Exactly. You don't roll something back that didn't succeed. Now, had they succeeded and made a run to the World Series, or at least made a run to the ALCS, and maybe some bit of bad luck, and then you go, well, you know what? We probably would have made the World Series without that bit of bad luck. So, okay, I'll maybe give it a go and try and run this thing back. But you don't run something back that failed to win the division and then failed to win the division series. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. It's really up there amongst the stupidest things I've ever heard, to roll the whole thing back when they haven't really achieved it. They didn't even reach expectations. I don't understand what the thought process is going on here. I don't. But we got a new guy in the chat here. Gaming James the Fifth. I get a strong feeling that Kyle Tucker and Tatsuya Imai will be Yankees. Bro, if that's the case, I will literally be jumping for joy. You will get a celebratory stream. I might even do a 24-hour celebratory stream if that is the case. I want Kyle Tucker. I want him more than Cody Bellinger. And I want Tatsuya Imai. But am I confident? No. I can't say I'm confident, my friend. But first of all, Gaming James, what gives you that feeling? If you get a strong feeling, please tell us, because I really want to feel that positivity, because I don't have any positivity right now. So if you have that positivity, please share it with us, because I really want to feel it, because I want that to happen, man. That's like my ideal scenario. I want Kyle Tucker and I want Tatsuya Imai. That would be a dream scenario. But if you listen to Brian Cashman yesterday, he didn't even pronounce Imai's name, for one. And for two, he said that he really, 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 really wants Cody Bellinger. So there wouldn't be any room for Kyle Tucker. So I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling that positivity. The best chance of the two would be Imai rather than Kyle Tucker. So yeah, I'm not sharing that positivity, but Healing Man's Hearts is going. What are you smoking? Can I have what you're smoking?
No, look, it's everybody has those gut feels, and that's fine. And Gaming, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the channel. Hope you're enjoying the show so far. But if you mentioned Imai, and if I'm going to allocate money for pitching, that's where it's going. Not Devin Williams.
No.
We have a closer. We have a back end of the bullpen that you can rely on. You know, we could fit Yarmo in that role as a swing guy for the bullpen and a spot start. You know, Tim Hill, very reliable. We've seen him. Donald, how many times with the bases loaded, he's coming out of the bullpen and you actually sit back. You're like, okay, we're in good hands.
Right.
And then the few times that it didn't come through, that Tim Hill couldn't come through, that was the surprise. So not the fact that he got out of the bases loaded jam. So Tim Hill, I have tons of faith in at the back end.
Right.
So our bullpen is not my concern.
They need to
not at this stage of the offseason, because there's so many other positions that we need to take care of. And he might at least gives you a little reprieve if you need to move somebody to acquire a guy like a Donovan or a Kwan. It might make somebody like a Warren or a Hampton just give you better leverage to use them for a trade. So at least you're not hurting, because what do I always say? You don't take away from pitching for a position. So
you're right about that. You're right about that. They don't need to spend immense amounts of money with that bullpen. I mean, you've kind of you've got your closer. So why sign another closer to stick him in an 8th inning role? You've also got Camilo Doval. Don't forget about him. And I don't know. I don't see the real need to spend extraordinary amounts of money on that bullpen. You do need to acquire a lefty for the bullpen. You probably do need to get another guy in there that you can rely on, but you don't need to spend $60 million to do that. No. It's just not very creative. You can do so much better than that.
I also think
what about Fairbanks? What about Fairbanks? Fairbanks you could bring him in. He's not going to cost 3 years, $45 million. I don't understand. Duran says that Jake Bird might get fixed. Unless you're castrating Jake Bird, then that's the only fixing he's going to get, bro. Because that dude was ass. That dude was absolutely ass.
Duvall was up and down. He gave you some spots where he looked really good, and then somewhere he would just collapse. Duvall, I'm not sold on as reliable at this point.
Absolutely.
He's in the Mark Leiter category. Yeah, he's going to give you a couple of good outings, but he's not somebody you're jumping through joy for.
I know. It's just there is so much talent there.
Yeah,
that you want to develop it. You want to make use of it. You got 100-mile-an-hour fastballs and cutters. That stuff is a dream scenario to work with. It's just keeping his pitches in the strike zone. Gaming Jim says, I think they do only because the agency that represents Kyle Tucker isn't Scott Boras. Well, that is a good take. So it might be a little easier to sign him. Well, that makes a lot of sense. I know it's a lot more. I mean, listen, I want that to happen. Don't get me wrong, man. Like, I want that to happen. But Brian Cashman's already made it clear that plan A and plan B is Cody Bellinger. He says, we would love to have Cody Bellinger back. He wants Cody Bellinger. I think they're just checking in on Kyle Tucker, but they want Cody Bellinger. I don't agree with it. Again, I might be in the minority. I think the majority of people want Cody Bellinger back.
I do for the sole reason, Donald, because you're getting 4 positions with one player. So that's where I think that his value, even though he's going to get a good contract, and he has that every other year thing, whatever it is. But on the defensive end, you're getting 4 players for one contract. So that's where I give a lot of edge towards Bellinger over Tucker. But I believe me, if they sign Tucker, I might join you on the 24-hour stream celebrating, that they were able to outbid some of these other teams. But that's where I give Bellinger the edge, because he does have just that more of a versatility role.
Well, that's exactly what the Yankees thinking is.
Yeah, and which is, I hate saying that I'm in lockstep with them, but that's my honest opinion on it.
No,
I agree with them.
Yeah, and to be honest, like a lot of people will agree with you that they like the versatility. My thinking is, the Yankees are really loving these versatile guys right now. They're really focusing on that, but I would just focus on the top of the market. Just get the best player per position and let the cards fall as they may. For instance, like the Dodgers do. They just get the best player at the top of the market and make it work with that. And I think the Yankees need to be doing that because the Yankees have been shopping in the B tier and the C tier for far too long. Let's get back in the A tier. Cody Bellinger is not A tier. Kyle Tucker is A tier. Go get me some Kyle Tucker.
And also seeing in the chat, we got the strike zone popping in. What's going on, NFV? Good to see you in the chat. Make sure you also follow the NFV on the strike zone on his channel on YouTube. He's got a great channel. Stevie B also has his own channel hanging out with us. So make sure you continue to share the love throughout the community and go and check out all these great channels.
Yeah, Stevie B's channel is starting to really pick up. So salute to Stevie B. Pete Fairbanks has a condition called Raynaud syndrome, which causes numbness in his fingers in cold weather. Can impact his grip on a baseball. Most likely signs for the warm weather team. Thank you for that take, Armand. That's interesting. I wasn't aware of that. I'm just looking at his straight up numbers, and I'm very impressed with him. I like him as a pitcher. He's very good. But whether it's Fairbanks or somebody else, I don't know. But it doesn't need to be Devin Williams.
Yep. Yeah, and the thing with Fairbanks, I'm trying to absorb that and see if that's still something that the Yankees can work with. That might take him out of the priority list. I think if the price tag drops and you're able to manipulate with the schedule to have him pitch when you're in a dome or in a warm weather area, rather. If you're going from Miami to Detroit, use him in Miami and rest him in Detroit. But I'm not at this stage of the offseason, I'm not prioritizing a bullpen on. There's so many other things that we need to focus on. Yeah.
So Brian Cashman did talk to reporters. Here's some of the things that he said. Obviously, I can't play the audio, but I'll read out a lot of the stuff. I'm sure you guys have already seen it in X anyway. But Brian Cashman says, I have talked to Scott Boras yesterday about Belly and other free agents of his. I talked to Casey Close today about his free agents. He's got Kyle Tucker. So it is interesting that he brought up Kyle Tucker. And it is interesting that he has at least checked in on Kyle Tucker. So that is pretty good. And it is interesting that that he is openly saying these guys' names. So that is a pretty good sign. Was Brian Cashman surprised that Trent Grisham accepted his qualifying offer? Well, the way he views it is he said it would have been 50-50, but he's happy that he's back because it solves one of the positions. He had it that Trent Grisham was in the top 3 outfielders on the market. And there was a big steep drop-off after that. He said the top 3 guys in the market would have obviously been Bellinger, Tucker, and Trent Grisham. So he says that there was 2 vacancies in the outfield. Brian Cashman said that yesterday. So there's 2 vacancies in the outfield. Trent Grisham solves 1. That means that they've got 1 more. But that is an interesting use of word choice, considering you've also got Jason Dominguez and Spencer Jones on the roster. So he doesn't count them as being in the mix. He doesn't. If he says there's 2 vacancies, one of them has been filled with Trent Grisham, that means that they've got 1 more vacancy. And they've already got Jason and Spencer Jones on the 40-man. So obviously he doesn't count them as options, let's be honest, about everyday use. Thus, they're obviously going to be looking at 1 more outfielder. He said worst case scenario, it would be Dominguez and Spencer Jones fighting it out. So for one spot. He did say it. He said that it's a possibility. Worst case scenario, all else fails, then Dominguez and Spencer Jones will fight it out for one outfield spot. But it's interesting that he said worst case scenario. That means that like ideally he wants another outfielder in there. So with that in mind, he's checked on Kyle Tucker. I like the fact he's mentioned that, and that he's checked in on Cody Bellinger. And if you guys want a positive thing, and here's the best positivity I can give you, even though the names that Devin Williams and all that stuff, it's just absurd. The good news is, doesn't sound like there's a budget.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, depending on if you read Spot Rack, it's 260. If you read like Fangraphs, it's like 280. So, you know, our payroll as it stands is between 260 and 280, depending on what you read. I think it's like 260 if you non-tender a bunch of guys, 280 as it stands. Whichever like website you want to use. The payroll's already absurdly high, and they've got a ton of positions to fill. And it looks like the Hal has given Brian Cashman the room to do that, because if they are checking in on a Cody Bellinger, they are checking in on a Kyle Tucker, that means that you are still shopping at the top end of the market, which is a good sign. If you're even discussing a Devin Williams for $45 million, then that means that you are shopping in the upper end of the market. So that is a good sign. Maybe, the thinking is that the Yankees are going to blow past the 300 because of the fact that there might be a lockout next year. And certainly the CBA is going to be changing next year. So they might think, you know what, let's just blow past the 300 and just go all in this year. Go all in, spend money, build a team, and then we will deal with the new CBA next year whenever it gets implemented. That might be their thinking. And if that is their thinking, it's smart thinking. TC Steels. Anyone hear about Corey Seager being available?
Yes, we did.
Oh, yeah. I want to talk about that. I do want to talk about that. I want to be positive on this channel. I don't want to be yelling and screaming. Although it makes for very, very good content, it's still not what I want to do. I want to be happy. And if we acquire Corey Seager, I would be very, very happy. I would be incredibly happy. Good news regarding Corey Seager is that the Yankees are not one of the teams on his no-trade list, which means that if the Yankees contacted the Rangers and found a deal that would make the Rangers happy because they want to shed payroll, then Corey Seager would be a Yankee. And thank you, Stevie B. But that's true. Corey Seager could be a Yankee, and that changes the whole picture. Now you're having an elite shortstop that can play defense and can actually hit. Oh my God, I might
sign
faint.
me up.
Sign me up. I might faint. We might get another 24-hour celebratory stream. So that's where I'm at, man. I would love Corey Seager. They should have signed him when he was a free agent, but you know what? I mean, you can't look in the past. You can only look forwards.
Mm-hmm.
Volpe's cooked, guys. There is no saving Volpe. Volpe might be saved for another team. The Yankees can't save him. There's too much damage been done, and he's just too ass right now. He needs to completely tear that game up and start afresh with Anthony Volpe. And now, if anyone disagrees, come at me, but the stats speak for themselves. He's one of the worst players in the majors, statistically, right across the board. One of the worst shortstops in the game, and one of the worst players offensively. he's an absolute disgrace, and he's far too self-content too. So he got to go. Like, he got to go. But the Yankees are indebted to this guy because Anthony Volpe is Brian Cashman's son, which is a big problem. There's some serious nepotism going on there. So that's the only excuse why Anthony Volpe is still a Yankee at this stage. But Seager's injuries have been a problem. I know that. But I'm still trusting it.
Here. In the last 3 years, 40 games, 60 games. You know,
that is a lot of games.
The time to get, what was the other? Stephen B. also added the time to get it. Seager was 4 years ago. The contract's not going to age well, and to me, that is the contract itself more than the player is an issue for me. Look, we had our chance to get Seager when he could have actually been more of a contributable factor. And we all know the Yankees do not know what they're doing when it comes to handling players with injury problems. So
right.
I don't see Seager being a fit at this stage of where the Yankees are and at this stage of Seager's career. I don't see it as a fit. Would I take him over Volpe? Yes. But
I know that he's missed all these games. I know that he's missed all these games, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at the bare numbers, I mean, he only played 100 games last year, but he had a 6 WAR. 6 WAR. He had 21 home runs in just 100 games. That's more than Volpe did the entire season. In like 160 games, that's more home runs than Anthony Volpe, right? And then you look at his OPS, 860. His slug, almost 500. His on-base percentage, almost 400. That's really good numbers, man. So, although he only played 100 games, those were great numbers. 2024, he was an all-star. He played 123 games, had 30 home runs. In 2023, again, another all-star. He had a career high in doubles and also had 33 home runs, 96 RBIs, with a 390 on-base percentage and a batting average of 320 with a 600 slug. I mean, the fact that Yankees didn't sign Corey Seager is just absurd. It's just disgraceful. 2022, he had 33 home runs, 83 RBIs, with an on-base percentage of 317, 455 slug. Again, another all-star appearance. Played 151 games. Now, I know that the games are declining. 151, 119, 123, 102. It's obviously there's some injuries to work there, but like he's still giving you 4 all-star caliber seasons in a row, despite the injuries. I mean, it's not even close. I mean, that's good numbers. An 860 OPS, and he played only 100 games with a 6 WAR. That's beautiful. And then when you combine that with, you compare that with him who should not be named, him who shall not be named at a 660 OPS, with a 212 batting average, with 19 home runs in 160 games, and a 1 WAR as opposed to a 6 WAR. Like there isn't a comparison to be made. You know what I'm saying? So, like, they need to upgrade somewhere, man. They need to upgrade that out infield. So, like, I trust Michael Kay when he says that there's not a lot of teams that are going to be beating down your door to get McMahon. Like, they love his glove, but offensively, he is a problem. He didn't even hit in Coors Field. So the Yankees will have a hard time trading off that contract. So with that in mind, then you look at shortstop and you go, right, well, we need to upgrade at shortstop. Anthony Volpe's a disaster. Now you can, if you want to go Caballero every day at short, then yes, love Caballero, absolutely love it. But
yeah, when your backup is an upgrade, what does that tell you about
well,
your star player?
absolutely, yeah. I think Caballero should get an everyday role somewhere
Yeah,
because he's a 50 stolen base guy. He's a contact guy. I love that about him. They need to upgrade somewhere. Thus, it has to be either shortstop or first base. Second base, locked in. You got Jazz Chisholm. You just have to deal with the warts a little bit. But the numbers speak for themselves with Jazz. That's solid enough. It really just comes down to first base and shortstop. If the Yankees are all in on Ben Rice playing first, then I'm sorry, you need to upgrade at shortstop. And then you can make that Corey Seager. And then Caballero plays more of a utility role, and then Anthony Volpe can be sent to the sun.
I want to bring up this comment, Donald. And you're making excellent points. But I like this comment here from NFE. The numbers are great, no argument. But can he maintain those numbers as he gets older? Injuries get worse as these guys get older. We've seen that with our own hint DJ.
And Stanton, and the list goes on, man. Like,
yeah,
no argument.
Everyone's complaining about McMahon's contract because look at his offensive numbers. McMahon's value is his defense, and that's fine. Like I said, you need that level of defense in the hot corner. So McMahon to me is not a concern as long as you're upgrading elsewhere. Like I said, I'm not making it. If they came around and they're like they make this trade for Seager, I can't be pissed. At least they're trying to make it. They're making the adjustment in shortstop. They're pretty much saying that Volpe's done. And if it takes us, if we have to, I'd rather, like I said, I'm focusing more this offseason of where all these funds are being allocated. I would rather use my trade chips for Aquan, Donovan, players of that caliber that actually would fit a position of need, not just a replacement position. But you also that would pretty much lead, if you get Quan, I think that would be the end for Dominguez. What do you think?
I think Dominguez getting traded anyway, man. I really do.
I still think, despite his year, I think Dominguez still has tremendous value on the market.
I love Jason Dominguez. The Yankees don't. I can't change the Yankees' mind, I'm afraid. I'll try, but it ain't working thus far. NFE says Brandon Donovan is that guy. I love Brandon Donovan.
Yeah, me too. That's why I always put Donovan and Quan in the same.
Yeah, I actually have Donovan a little bit higher than Quan because Donovan can, and I'm going to use Tats's logic here, that he can play multiple positions. He can play second, he can play third, he can play left, he can play a bunch of positions. Donovan, he can play in the infield and the outfield. Brandon Donovan is that guy. He's a contact hitter. He's going to give you like a 280 batting average. He's an on-base guy. Can field multiple positions. Donovan's an ideal pickup. So I'm trying to think about like the finances here. I don't agree with giving Cody Bellinger 5, 6, 7 years. I think that's going to age worse than Seager's. So if you maybe made a trade for Donovan, stuck him in left field, right? And then made a deal for Seager for him to play shortstop, that's a pretty good use of resources because at least you're not log jammed in the outfield because Grisham's contract is out next year. So then Spencer Jones can take that spot. At least you're not log jammed there. Because I'm worried about too many long-term contracts in that outfield for an aging outfield Grisham and Bellinger, good players. They're not great players. That's not a good use of resources for me. Corey Seager is a great player. That's how I would do it. That's how I would make it work. I'd make a deal for Donovan, stick him in left field, and then make a deal for Seager, put him with shortstop. Then boom, you got yourself your leadoff guy. You got yourself your middle of the order guy. Yep. You've sorted out your defense. You made your team better. You've literally made your team better. That's how I would do it.
Yeah, our last legitimate leadoff hitter was Brett Gardner. That's all. And the fact that they've never been able to replace that with all the moves they've made, all the players that they've been on this roster, that they would pass up an opportunity to get. You need look, the whole reason to put together where Cashman needs to put his best offseason out is the pending lockout, judges and getting judged that ring. Because I don't know if you saw. I don't know if you saw this. I wanted to bring this up.
That's where I'm at with it, man. Just spend what you need to spend this year.
Just be financially responsible.
Yeah.
And get us to the championship. That's all I'm asking. That's not a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not asking you to go and sign every A tier player. That's not realistic.
No, but I do agree. I think they do need to go all in this year, before the CBA next year. Let's continue to break down what the chat has got to say. Sunil's got a good point here. Giving Bellinger that deal may become DJ LeMahieu 2.0. That's exactly where I'm at. I completely agree with you, Sunil. I'm not giving him 5, 6 years, 7 years. Not happening.
No, I'm giving him 4 with a 5th year as a mutual option. If he still has something left in the tank, and with a mutual option, you have like a bonus to just go kind of like a severance.
Okay, that could work, but the Yankees don't really like opt-outs. They don't really operate that way.
Do you want these players or not? Yeah, they don't do opt-outs. They don't like to do deferrals.
No, they don't. They don't do any stuff that makes logical sense in order to give yourself an out. The Yankees don't act like that. So, on paper, bring back Cody Bellinger, great. But you need to give yourself an out if he underperforms, because, as I keep saying, that season last year was an outlier for Cody Bellinger. And you're going to be like, what do you mean he's an all-star? His MVP seasons were long ago. He's coming off 4 bad seasons out of 6. 4 bad seasons out of 6. Only a couple of years ago, he had a -1 WAR.
That was a tough year for him.
And that was only a couple of years ago. It wasn't a different lifetime ago. It was only a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's not
the Yankees have changed him. Well, I haven't seen a big enough sample size for me to be a confident judge of that. I saw 1 year that he was good, and he was asked in the playoffs. But he was good, but he wasn't an all-star. I'm not going to pay him all-star money. And I'm not going to pay him an all-star contract. And if somebody else wants to, good. Go for it. You have to start thinking about resources and how where to put certain amounts of money into certain areas. You need to really think about building a roster. And that's something that Brian Cashman hasn't done a good enough job of. He just hasn't. He's a talented GM, but in terms of roster building and in terms of allocating resources, it's just not there. I mean, to pick up on TC Steele's point, he says here it's crazy that you have you already are sitting on around about 280 payroll, and then we already know the problems that we have where we don't really have a first baseman. Well, we don't have a long-term first baseman yet. Yeah, catcher's a question offensively unless Ben Rice moves the catcher. We don't have a shortstop. Third base can't hit. Left field, we don't have a left fielder. Center field, we've basically got someone who's getting paid 4 times his value playing center field. And then you've got a superstar, all-world superstar in Aaron Judge. It's like Aaron Judge and then a lot of question marks after that. There aren't a lot of locked-in guys. So Is that a good use of $280 million? No.
No.
Absolutely not. So I'm just trying to think about ways in which you can upgrade without hamstringing yourself in the future. And I think that Seager makes a lot of sense.
Whether it's Seager or Bellinger, I think you're running the same risk. We started the college. I said, Bellinger, you get 4 players for 1 contract. That's my stance on it. That's the big positive for Bellinger.
Okay.
Plus, he loves playing here. His father, has a World Series ring with the Yankees. So I think Bellinger does bring a little more pride on his shoulders to put that uniform on. But if it's Seager and we never have to worry about Volpe, that's a tough decision.
Well, I don't think it's that tough for me.
Yep, but yeah, judging the bench warmers.
Duran, I think that was the Yankees thinking with DJ LeMahieu.
Yeah,
and look how that turned out.
Well, that's why the DJ LeMahieu 2.0 comments are fitting. I don't think that
really. That's where I'm thinking, man. I'm scared away from that now, and I'm the biggest DJ LeMahieu supporter, but that was what their thinking was, and I'm sorry, you can't pay $30 million a year to someone who isn't elite offensively.
Yeah,
and Bellinger's
contract wasn't a terrible contract.
Yeah,
it was a very team friendly. Bellinger's contract, I don't think will be team friendly.
No, it won't. And I just,
after the year when DJ LeMahieu went into free agency, he was a hot commodity, and he could have easily gotten more than $15 million a year.
Right.
But
the Yankees stretched it out over 6 years to make it fit into their budget, and it cost them seriously.
Well, in one injury,
but he was elite at 3 positions as well, like second base, Gold Glove, third base, first base. So, and in the end, he couldn't really play either because he lost the step or two.
Yeah,
and then offensively,
that was the sad part because one injury aged his career 7 years.
Exactly, and you don't know if that's good. That could happen to Cody Bellinger.
Yeah, so then don't sign anybody because they might get hurt. You're not going to get the production. Like you gotta sometimes, you gotta take a chance. You have to take that gamble.
I don't think you need to take that gamble.
So we by that logic, don't get Bellinger because he's not going to age well. Don't get Seager; he's not going to age well. We're always seeing a lot of that argument with Stanton. He's not aging well. We don't. Well, let's trade Judge now before he ages. I mean, you got to have those veterans on the team, especially the ones that still have that drive to win. You understand what I'm saying? Like we can't just shy away from everybody because of their age. That's ageism, and ageism is wrong.
Right. No, especially considering we're 2 old dudes. So, but no, what I'm trying to say is, I think Seager could age better because he's given you 4 straight All-Star caliber seasons. I mean, he missed like 60 games last year, but he still gave you really good numbers: 800 plus OPS, 20 plus home runs, and that was only in 100 games. And then he was basically exactly the same offensive player as he was in 2024. He was excellent. I would trust that more than Bellinger, who has been bad for 4 out of his last 6 years. He is healthier. He is more durable. I get it, but he's not been great for 4 out of his last 6 years. I don't know how that's going to work out, giving him a 6-year deal.
See, here's
what thing for defense in the latter end of that contract, and I just think that's a poor use of resources.
I think I'm gonna revisit something that we talked about way back, and when having fun with, if I was commissioner.
Great point.
I think this next CBA, you're going to see, like what I said, I think that, yes, like with guaranteed contracts, I could see that coming into it, but not this first time around that they're going to start really putting, because I think there is going to be a cap and there better damn well be a floor. But what I would do is if you're past your 15th year, um, and this goes by um, your service time, not when you called up, when you're on the 40, as soon as you're on the 40, you get your first game, your clock starts. You get, that with the shared revenue, screw this, take a percentage of it, put it into a veterans fund. So when you get to a certain point, you get your veterans contract. You get a veteran status on your contract. So if you do have an injury like a LeMahieu, because he had his 15 years, so he can, that veterans fund will pay his salary, not the team.
Oh.
So it still protects these older players that still have something in the tank, but teams don't want to give long contracts to. It's a protection for both. It's a financial security for the player, but financial protection for the team. I think something like that could definitely work.
Okay. I mean, I'm on board with that. And I'm also on board with Healing Man's Hearts here. I hate how baseball contracts are guaranteed. NFL has a right. Signing bonuses are the guaranteed, but not the rest of the contract. I completely agree with that. But I think that the MLBPA gave far too much power to the players because they get a win, man. They're getting 10-year deals that are fully guaranteed with no opt-outs. I mean, they have all the power in this, and I think it's crazy. I think it's crazy town, really. Some of these contracts. I think I'd be shocked if we have a full 162 game season next year. Obviously not next year, but the year after. I'm not expecting it. I'd be shocked because they need to rework the whole thing here. Because Healing Man's Hearts is right, and it's scaring teams away from going into the top of the market because they're like, well, how's that contract going to age? You know what I'm saying? Well, heck, the Yankees don't sign free agents anymore, and that says it all. So I don't know. They need to do something about it.
Yeah. I don't even see what is he saying. I don't even think we will have a short season of 27. Players are spoiled babies. Well, you also have these rich ass owners that own, that do own teams in a smaller market.
Yeah.
Where, look at what Pittsburgh is doing with Skeens. You telling me that guy can't afford to to get in on some of these players? Come on. I mean, you're gonna waste all those years with him.
Oh, that's a shame. It is a shame.
You get in the shared revenue. A percentage of that is mandated to go towards salary. But
apparently they like Trent Grisham. They would have given him a 3 or 4 year deal, but Trent Grisham was like, "Nah, fuck that. I'm going back to the Yankees."
Smart on Grisham. That's a hellhole over there.
Absolutely. Nah, he's right. Yeah, there does need to be a salary floor. Like there needs to be some stuff going on here, man. I don't think there needs to be a salary cap, but there needs to be a salary floor, and I think they need to work on these contracts, and they also need to look at the qualifying offer thing. Like as Tad's picked up on the last show, the qualifying offer just
doesn't work.
It's a detriment. No, it doesn't. Getting penalized for a player turning down a qualifying offer and then you signing him, that's absurd. It's absurd. Like penalizing a team for signing a free agent. No. There's so many things that need to be done here. But anyway, we're going off topic.
Yeah.
The good news for me is that Brian Cashman's willing to spend. He says that Trent Grisham hasn't changed anything. The Trent Grisham contract has not changed anything, that they are still attacking all the same areas that they were going to attack. That's the positive thing. That's what we all want. Because a lot of the criticism about the Grisham thing is the fact that we know that the Yankees have themselves a budget. Now, if the Yankees are still attacking the top end of the market with Grisham, then that's a good sign that they're going to be aggressive. I'm just going to be very interested to see how they're going to be aggressive. If they're aggressive to the point where they start bringing back Devin Williams, then it's a pure use of resources again.
No, that is the positive to sign off on, is that it does appear the optic is they're not concerned at this stage about the budget. Let's just put the team together and we'll figure it. Once we get the players that we want, we'll figure out how we're going to adjust something. Does somebody get traded? Are they going to make a trade to fill a position where it's a little lower on the salary end? Also, this year and next year, Stanton, I think his contract at this stage, the way players are getting paid is we owe him money. But I think his is only like $19 million a year for the next 2 years. So, the Marlins are paying $10 million of his contract.
Yes, they are.
This year and next. So it does give you now. You do have that extra $10 million. Not that $10 million is a lot to these players with these contracts, which is also crazy. But I know.
The Mets DFA Frankie Montas. Oh my lord.
Oh, we should see. There you go. That's a Cashman move right there for whoever was one.
No, we'll bring it to existence.
Yeah. Been there, done that, got the scars. But no, it does look like the Yankees are taking a different approach at the start of it. And Cashman even said he's like, it was a 50-50 with Grisham in the qualifying offer. And it's like we said on the last show when we spent a little more time with it. It's 1 year. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to kick and scream over a 1 year deal. As long as they continue on the path they're in, and because you're hearing them linked to all these teams. After with their budget, they would have never been linked to this. They would have been, So I think there's a little bit of validity to the rumor mills.
I mean, Brian Cashman was surprisingly forthcoming yesterday, and it gives you a little bit of hope that they're going to be aggressive. So let's see, but it really depends on on the players here that are going to be acquired, because news like Devin Williams and stuff that's just absurd. You can't do that. Don't do it. Stop, please don't. But if he's aggressive and then you make some smart trades and then you sign some big time free agents, then you might be able to make a good team out of this. So let's see how it plays out.
Yep. That's all we could do at this stage. React to the players that are on the roster, the rumors that are are being looked at, and analyze it. One last thing, this is something that does bother me. Can we stop mocking Cashman for the sleeping on the street? Can we put an end to that? Never mock somebody for doing charitable work.
Fair.
Never. That's poor taste. I don't like it. No, I just want to throw that in there because it's actually, I don't see any. Maybe 1 year we should sleep. Do the same thing.
That's fair
because we've done fundraisers for charities. We've helped out charities on other fundraisers on other streams. Never
Well,
mock
Tats,
somebody.
you go fishing and then you give the fish to homeless.
Yeah, our fish goes to the food bank. Yeah.
Exactly. So,
So
like, you do your
never
charity.
mock somebody for doing charity.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. That's a good way of signing off. Listen to Uncle Tats.
So with that, make sure you hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out, your friends, your family, the strangers on the corner, even Brian Cashman if you see him in a sleeping bag. Make sure you tell him about us. But with that, thank you to everybody hanging out in the chat. I'm Uncle Tats with Donald on the Pitch Strike Chronicles. Remember, wear your Pitch Strikes with pride and play on.